Dear friends, welcome back to another video session. In this session, we will discuss a poem called Mother, written by P. Lankesh, one of the best known Kannada poets and intellectual. The poem begins like this: My mother, fertile black earth. The poet says he compares his mother to the earth, the black earth. There, the spread of green leaves, pieced of white flowers. The poet says sea is a spread of green leaves, sea as cool as the forest. The floor of the forest is full of greenery because of the fallen leaves, and it is very cold. That's how his mother is. And she is like piece of white flowers. She looks like a bunch of white flowers which brings happiness to the heart of the viewers. The mother becomes tougher for each burn. Burn here is the problems she faces in her everyday life, and the more problem she becomes, the more tough. More flowers and fruits with each pang. Pang means beatings or ಜೀವನದ ಹೊಡೆತಗಳು. The number of pangs she gets in her day-to-day life brings more flowers to her life, and it becomes sweeter than a fruit. When baby is kicked, her limbs thrilled. The mother was always thrilled by the kicks of the babies she is carrying in her stomach. Whenever the babies kick, she would become jubilant because she thinks that the baby in the stomach speaking something to her. She set down the laden basket, groaned, and shut her eyelids, never to open again. She, uh, she all the time carries a burden on her shoulders, and she all the time groaned. She has complaints, she has quarrels, she has lot of groanings about the things as they are, and she shut her eyelids never to open again. The mother raised 100 measure sack of maize, impressed father, and won a bracelet. She worked hard throughout the year, and when finally it is the harvesting time, she impressed the father because of her hard work. She has raised 100 sacks of maize, and she wins a bracelet from the father. She watered each clump of clay, seeded pepper, pea, maize, and lentil fields by hand. The mother plowed the field, and she sowed the seeds in her field, and she provided water to the plants that are planted in her field. She looked after everything, and she was able to grow the vegetables required for her home in her own field, and she also grown other day-to-day necessary things for the home. She is a flower among flowers, ripening fruit among fruits. She is a blooming flower among the flowers. She seems to be more beautiful than other flowers in the garden. and she is ripening fruit among fruits. ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಣ್ಣುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಗಿದ ಹಣ್ಣಿನಂಥವಳು ನನ್ನ ತಾಯಿ ಅಂತ ಕವಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಲುಕ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ ಲೆಂಟಿಲ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಟ್ ಹರ್ ಯೂತ್ ಇನ್ ಟ್ಯಾಟರ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಯಾರೀಸ್. She worked hard, she plowed, she sowed, she dig the land, dig the field, and done all the things. Yet she spent her youth in tattered saris. She used to wear tattered sari. She died. How old was this bent backed old woman when she dies finally? And some people would ask about her age. How many New Year moons, festive sweet breads at the flaming stove? How many New Years she enjoyed? How the festivals brought happiness on her face? Whether all the festivals brought happiness on her face or not is the unanswered question. How often had she wept, this old woman, for money? Many times she wept for the single rupee she lost on her way to home. She also cried for the ruined crop when there is a extreme rain, when there is flood, when there is no rain. If the crop gets ruined, the mother would weep for that. The mother would cry for that. And she also cried for a dead calf. When the calf dies, she cries because she knows that the calf, the milk giving calf, is the backbone of a farmer. And when it dies, he seems to have lost his ability, his strength. How often did she roam village to village searching for the runaway aged buffalo? Once she lost a aged buffalo and she ran village to village to search for that old aged buffalo. And she also cried for the dead calf. She also cried for the single rupee she had lost on her way home, and she also cried for the ruined crop. She was no Sati Savitri, Sita, or Urmila, paragon wives of myth. ಪುರಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಸತಿ ಸಾವಿತ್ರಿಯೂ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಸೀತಾನೂ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಊರ್ಮಿಳೆಯೂ ಅಲ್ಲ. Because people do not read about my mother. And if the poet says, even though she is not the woman, the wives of the myth, she is as pure as Sati Savitri, Sita, or Urmile, he says. Not the placid, fair, dignified figures of history. My mother's stature is not like a figure in the history, human history. She cannot fit into human history. She stands apart from all the women you talk about in your history, the poet says. Nor the storied wives of a Gandhiji or a Ramakrishna. She also is not the wife of a great personality in the history, in the human history, because of whose husband they are read, they are known. But my mother is not like a wife of a Gandhiji or Ramakrishna. My mother is a wife of a common man. My mother is wife of a common farmer. My mother did not worship God, but you cannot say that she is atheist. Did not listen to the sacred legends. My mother did not listen to the stories, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the legends, the Purana. Nothing she listened. Married. She is married. Yet didn't even wear the auspicious vermilion on her plate. She got married, but she did not put vermilion on her plate. Like a bear of the woods, she buried her offspring. My mother is like a bear, wild bear, which buries her children, which protects her children. Reared her husband, hoarded pennies, scolded, grumbled, quarreled like an injured dog. My mother is like a bear. She doesn't let go of her children and her husband. She sometimes scolded, grumbled. Scolded means blame or murmur. She quarreled. How? Like an injured bitch. He says, pettiness, crookedness, scratching about like a monkey. My mother is not godlike. She was like a monkey. She jumped here and there in pettiness. She had crookedness in her attitude. She scratched her body like a monkey, all in the name of the clan's well-being. She would flare up only if the son strayed or the husband went elsewhere. All this she had done to protect her family, not for anything else, not for her personal gains. See all these things to protect her family, for the well being of her family. And she would become angry only when her son went out of the home and her husband went elsewhere. When her husband looked at another woman with lustful eyes, only then she would become angry on her husband, and she would become angry on her son only when he doesn't do the household work. The bear of the woods needs no Bhagavad Gita of yours. The poet says, my mother is like a bear, wild bear, and she doesn't need your Bhagavad Gita. My mother lived for grain, brambles, toil, kids. My mother lived for grain. My mother lived for accumulating grains to feed her children and to work hard and to look after her kids. She lived for a roof above, for a roof above. To she had a dream of constructing a small house to protect her children from the rain and from the sun. That's what she lived for rice. She lived for rice. She lived for bread. She lived for a blanket. She didn't have any higher ambitions. She only lived for gaining three times food and a roof on the head and a dress to protect her from the stares of the society. To walk among peers with head held high. She toiled hard, she worked hard throughout her life. Why? To held her head high in her peers. ಸರಿಕರಲ್ಲಿ ತಲೆ ಎತ್ತಿ ನಡೆಯುವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನನ್ನ ತಾಯಿ ತನ್ನ ಜೀವನವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸವೆಸಿದಳು ಅಂತ ಕವಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. To her, tears of admiration, gratitude for bearing, nurturing, for living in the soil and going away as though from home to field, coolly still talking. The poet says, I want to express my admiration to my mother with my tears. I want to express my gratitude for bearing, for nurturing us, for making us this big. And I want to respect my mother for living in the soil and going away. How she went away from this earth as though she is going from home to field. She went from this world to the next world very coolly, and she didn't make any noise. She didn't express her displeasure when she was dying. Thank you, dear friends. We will meet again in next class.